Rain tapped softly against the hospital window as 27-year-old Ayan stood beside his mother's empty bed. 3 days earlier, she had passed away quietly in her sleep. No dramatic last words. No family gathered around her. Just silence. People came to offer sympathy, but their whispers hurt more than comforted. Poor woman, she lived such a lonely life. She sacrificed everything for her son. And still he barely visited. Ayan heard every word. Maybe they were right. For years, he had kept distance from his mother, Zareen. She was loving but strange, overprotective, secretive, emotional at random moments. She never spoke about his father, never allowed guests inside their old home, and every year on Ayan's birthday, she disappeared for exactly 1 hour. As a child, he ignored the mystery. As an adult, he resented it. After the funeral, he returned to her tiny house to clean it before selling it. The home smelled of old paper and jasmine oil. Everything was perfectly arranged, except one drawer in her bedroom. It was locked. Inside the drawer, he found a worn leather diary. On the first page was written, "If my son is reading this, then I no longer have the courage to tell him the truth myself." Ayan frowned. The next line made his chest tighten. "I was never your real mother." The diary slipped from his hands. For several minutes, he simply stared at the floor. Then, he picked it up again. 28 years earlier, Zareen had worked as a night nurse in a small city hospital. One stormy evening, a young couple arrived after a terrible car accident. The father died instantly. The mother survived only long enough to give birth. And the baby survived too. Ayan. But there was a problem. The couple had been involved in a dangerous criminal investigation involving powerful people. Before dying, the woman grabbed Zareen's hand and begged, "Please don't let them find my son." That same night, strangers came asking questions about the baby. Zareen became terrified. She was a widow with no children of her own. She knew the system would place the baby into state care, and if the wrong people found him first, he could disappear forever. So, she made a decision that changed her life. She signed false documents, changed her city, and raised the child as her own. Ayan's breathing became heavy as he turned the pages. Every page held pieces of pain he had never noticed. There were entries about working double shifts so he could attend a better school, about pretending not to be hungry so he could eat enough, about secretly crying after he once shouted, "I wish you weren't my mother." But one detail shattered him most. Every birthday, the hour she disappeared, she spent it at the grave of his real parents. She wrote, "I promised them their son would never feel abandoned. So every year I tell them about his life, his first steps, his first school prize, the way he laughs when embarrassed. I hope I kept my promise." Ayan's eyes blurred. For the first time in years, he cried like a child. But the final pages held an even deeper truth. Zareen had recently discovered that the men connected to the old case had finally died years ago. The danger was gone. She could have told Ayan everything, but she didn't. Why? Because she feared only one thing. "I'm not afraid he'll hate me for lying. I'm afraid he'll stop calling me mother." A tear dropped onto the page. Ayan covered his mouth, unable to breathe properly. All those years, he thought she was controlling him, but she had been protecting him. He remembered every ignored phone call, every rushed visit, every birthday he forgot. And suddenly, the house no longer felt empty. It felt full of invisible love he had been too blind to see. That night, Ayan found one final envelope hidden inside the diary. Written on it, "For my son, only after I'm gone." Inside was a photograph of his real parents holding him as a newborn. And beneath it, a second picture. A much older photo. Zareen, smiling beside his tiny childhood bed, exhausted after a night shift, still wearing her nurse uniform. On the back she had written, "A child doesn't become yours by blood. They become yours by every sleepless night you survive for them." Years later, people in the city often noticed a man visiting 2 graves every birthday. One belonged to the parents who gave him life. The other belonged to the woman who gave that life meaning.